Clause 10.2 is the last clause within the set of requirements of ISO 27001. And it talks about nonconformity and corrective actions. And in this section, I wanted to explain, the process that you're going to go through when handling an issue. Okay, so when a nonconformity occurs, the organization shall react to the nonconformity as applicable, and as applicable, take action to control and correct it, deal with the consequences, evaluate the need for action to eliminate the causes of nonconformity in order that it does not reoccur or occur anywhere else by reviewing the nonconformity, determining the root cause, and determining if similar nonconformities exist or could potentially occur. So let's take a bit of a higher view on this issue, and let me explain in more practical terms what's going on over here. So when we're speaking about nonconformities and corrective actions, specifically about nonconformities, in this case of information security, they are more commonly known as incidents. Okay, information security incidents. Now, let's take the example of an incident whereby, and I know this for a fact, it's a real life example. So a company employed a person in an accounting role, and this person received an email from a Gmail account asking them to buy Apple discount cards, Apple gift cards to all the colleagues to give them a gift for Christmas or whatever the reason was. The email said that the director didn't have enough time right now to call the person to explain, and didn't have the credit card on them to be able to pass these funds. So the email asked the person to effect the payment themselves to buy these gift cards, thereby eliminating the need to get another approval from their boss so that they could actually transfer the money instantly. So as you can understand, this is a very, I would say, simple phishing attack that somehow this person managed to fall into. But let's use it as an example so that we can explain this particular clause. So this is definitely a nonconformity. You know, they've been stolen thousands of money, of euro. So the first thing that we're going to do is to react to the nonconformity. Can we block the card? Can we report the person to the cybercrime unit? Do we have more details on the person? Do we have any logs? What type of communication do we have to be able to try to take action to correct it? And if we've lost the money, how are we going to deal with those consequences? Okay, so that is the first step that we can do. And this is always invariably done by all people, that when a problem happens, we try to solve that problem for that particular case. But the standard goes over and above that. So then we need to evaluate the need for action to eliminate the cause of the nonconformity in order that it does not recur or occur elsewhere by reviewing the nonconformity. So once again, we're going to say, okay, so we've been a victim of a phishing attack. We're going to determine the causes of the nonconformity. Why was this person, I would say, so gullible as to believe such an exaggerated ask from their boss, and they had just joined the company? And let's say training was the reason, but is that the root cause? I wouldn't say so. The root cause should probably go a bit deeper. Like whenever this company hires people, they're not even checking that they have the basic understanding of information security risks that people should have in this day and age. So I wouldn't blame it on the specific person. I would blame it on the whole organization who does not have a culture of information security or awareness of information security. And so that could be the root cause that I would attribute in this case. And could this potentially occur somewhere else or with other people? Probably, probably. So then we're going to say, okay, so what action can we implement to make sure that this doesn't happen again? Can we train people every 3 months in a different way on what are phishing attempts or phishing attacks? And we try to make sure that they understand the concept. Can we have some type of a test whereby we send internally phishing attacks to different people to see who clicks on the button or who reports it to the respective person? So like that, we are not only training people on what are phishing attacks, but in this case, we're also testing them to see if someone slips. If anyone slips, then we're going to notice that that person would need additional training. Okay? So once we determine what the actions are, then we're going to let a few months pass and check once again if we've ever been a victim, first of all, of an actual phishing attack, or if someone has actually fallen for our test of a phishing attack. Okay? So then we're going to make changes to the information security management system if necessary. For example, in this case, I would include a step or a question within the interview process whereby we're asking people some basic questions relating to information security to at least understand that they have the basics that one needs to have in this century, okay, when it comes to information technology and the risks that are available online. But also, I would include a step within the induction period whereby people would need to be trained on basic information security principles as needed by their particular job title. Okay? So corrective actions shall be appropriate to the effects of the nonconformities encountered, which is to say, we have to take the action as needed to the extent that the information security incident caused havoc within our organization. Okay? And by incidents, they can be anything, so it can be this phishing attack, it can be a downtime of our site or of a supplier site, or maybe someone lost a file that they couldn't find, or maybe someone deleted certain information, or we needed to find certain information and we couldn't find it, or there was an investigation by a regulator which led to a nonconformity from their side. So it can be a myriad of different things, all aimed at ensuring that there is the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information, and that our organization is sufficiently protected from all types of vulnerabilities. Now, when creating an incident, we should have documented information available to make sure that we are able to track the nature of nonconformities and any subsequent actions taken, and to understand the results of any corrective actions taken. The way that I like to approach this is extremely simple. Okay, so I like to have an Excel sheet or a Google sheet for that matter that resembles what I'm going to put up on the screen right now. Okay, so for the sake of the example, let's take this example of the phishing attempt. So here we're going to put in a unique number. Okay, and then let me just zoom in a bit. They discovered we can just say whatever 15 to 20, whatever year you're working in. Description of the problem. What's the problem that you have? An employee fell to a phishing attack and sent money to the cyber thief, we can say, I guess. Okay, the source of improvement, this is definitely internal. It was an internal mistake. Here I would name the person. So Mrs. X, whatever. So Because why would I want to keep a record of the person who did this mistake? Because if a single person keeps on repeating the same mistake, then it probably isn't the cause. The cause isn't the system, but the cause is the person themselves. So no matter what type of training we're doing on this person, if the solutions aren't working, it's not the problem of the system, it's the problem of the person. Okay? So yes, I'd like to keep a bit of a track record about that. And action taken to solve in the short term would be to cancel the card, for example, and contact cybercrime unit at police. Okay? Now, what was the root cause? The root cause could have been two things. That first of all, not enough. Actually, it is one thing that InfoSec awareness is not a priority for the company. And to solve that, we can do two things. Ask questions on InfoSec during interview, and we can also include InfoSec training as part of induction training. Now, when did we agree that we're going to do these things? That would be the date of the implementation. Let's say 15/3, whatever year we are in. Who's responsible? Let's say that I am responsible for this. Dates to control, typically I would want this to be 30 to 90 days after the date of implementation. So let's say that we're going to leave 1 month, which in this case could probably be too short. So let's say that we're going to leave 3 months. Was there any other phishing attempt? Or here, remember that we also said in the example earlier, 3, that we're going to do phishing attack simulations. And that would be the reason why I would feel comfortable to check this after 3 months. Because here I'm not checking whether they fell to the attack, to the internal simulation that we did, but was there another attack that someone fell prey to? And hopefully we're not, it needs to be 3 months since someone receives a phishing attack that is detailed enough for them to actually believe it. And if after 3 months, 2 months, 1 month pass from the date of the implementation and we notice that the problem didn't repeat itself, then we would be able to say that the corrective action has been closed. If the problem repeated itself, then that would mean that the root cause that we've identified was probably not correct, but also that the action taken to solve the problem permanently was definitely not correct, because we've actually fell to the same problem once again. So let's do a bit of a recap for this particular clause. Here we're talking about the idea of learning from our mistakes. And if in the previous clause, in clause 10.1, I told you that you don't need to wait to be certified, as in you don't need to wait to be perfect to start looking at ISO certification, here I'm going to tell you the other way around, which is that it is crucially important for you to learn from all mistakes. And the system and the Excel sheet that I just shared with you in this training session is the framework that you can use to learn from your mistakes, to make sure that such mistakes don't ever happen again within your organization. But also, by using such an Excel sheet, you'll be able to monitor some type of trends that are happening within your organization. Sometimes I see clients creating incident reports, very detailed incident reports on Word documents, which, although they are very useful because typically they would also contain information on logs, on times or timestamps, or when what happened, but I think that rather than creating a very detailed incident report for 3 incidents that you would have in a year. I'd rather you get much less information but input a bigger number of incidents or issues that happen, or near misses maybe, that happen in terms of your information security, so that you can actively start learning from your mistakes and from the mistakes of the teams within your organization. Okay, I think that this is one of the most important elements, not just of an ISO certification, but in life. Whoever is not learning from their mistakes, they're going to keep on repeating the same patterns and trends over and over again, and that naturally is not ideal. So the corrective action process is a systematic approach to problem solving to make sure that problems don't recur again, and by monitoring the issues that happen within your organization, you will begin to monitor trends. A risk-based approach is required to determine the level of detail needed in the case of a non-conformity. For example, organizations within the automotive industry tend to use an 8D report, where smaller organizations might use a simple Excel sheet. Honestly, I think that for the case of the automotive industry, companies should only use an 8D report if they are requested for by the client. If not, everyone should use this Excel sheet, because it still contains all the information and steps that are mentioned in clause 10.2 of the standard, these requirements, but also it gives you the ability to, first of all, not create a super long bureaucratic document, but also it gives you the ability to notice any trends that might be relevant in terms of incidents or issues within your organization. Okay, so you can use a template just like the one I showed you, or you can create one for yourselves, and this has to have the description of the issue. You need to define the solution to solve the current issue in the short term. You need to define the root cause of the issue. We're going to find a permanent solution to ensure that the root cause of the issue never repeats itself again. We're going to implement the solution and follow up on the actions taken to ensure that the problem does not reoccur. Okay? So here we have another example, but I'm very happy with the example that I showed you earlier. So I think that for the time being, we can close with that. If you have any question about this clause or any other clauses within ISO 27001, please feel free to let me know. I would love to help you answer any questions that you might have, so that you can succeed in implementing and maintaining your ISO 27001 certification. Thank you so much, and I look forward to having a chat with you. Thanks.